What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Vikings Now by Chat Sports. Coming up on today's show, we have some must-see news for you guys as we're going to be going over some of what the top NFL insiders are having to say on Sam Darnold, the Minnesota Vikings, and also Aaron Rodgers on the tail half of today's show. We'll just kick it to Albert Breer to start things off as he said this on Sam Darnold. My guess right now is the Minnesota Vikings don't franchise tag Sam Darnold and instead let the QB go to the market, asking that he gives them a shot to match any offer he gets. Then he carried on to say they really like J.J. McCarthy, and so long as he's able to regain his weight and strength in the coming weeks, I think they'd be comfortable going with him as the starter. And I actually just want to clap it up to Albert Breer right there, one of the first NFL insiders, at least the top dogs out there, that have this Vikings quarterback situation perfectly nailed, because I totally agree with what he just said. I'm sure Sam Darnold will test free agency. He will get an offer from a team that'll come back to the Minnesota Vikings and say, hey, what are we going to do with this? And then the Vikings will make a decision off that offer that Sam Darnold got. But also, like that Breer mentioned, that the Vikings are big fans of J.J. McCarthy, because that's been my biggest gripe with guys like Schefter, Jeremy Fowler, when they're talking about the Vikings quarterback situation. They would all say, I don't know how the Minnesota Vikings can let Sam Darnold walk out the door after just winning 14 games. It's because we have the kid from Michigan sitting behind him. But we'll dive into more here on today's show. But before we do so, if you guys could help us out, we're actually less than 20 subscribers away from hitting 52,000 subs. So go down there, hit that subscribe button, stay up to date around everything on your Minnesota Vikings, and help us reach our next milestone of 52,000 subscribers. So speaking of Jeremy Fowler, funny enough, he actually had this to say on Sam Darnold, saying the Vikings haven't made a firm determination on this, but many around the league see them starting over with J.J. McCarthy if a new suitor prices Sam Darnold out of Minnesota. Now, I think the Vikings are going to treat this Sam Darnold situation very similar to how they treated Kirk Cousins last offseason, because I was actually up here on the show this time last year saying the Vikings should present Kirk Cousins an offer, probably a shorter term deal, 2 years, $50, $60 million, not what Kirk wants, but a deal like that would help the Minnesota Vikings team. And then if Kirk doesn't like that deal that the Vikings offer him, he can go test free agency, see what else was out there, and then he ended up signing the 4-year, $180 million deal with the Atlanta Falcons. So I think the Vikings are going to approach this Darnold situation very similar to how they approached the Kirk Cousins situation, where you offer him a deal that Darnold's not going to be thrilled with, a very team-friendly deal, because they have all the leverage in the situation. They have J.J. McCarthy right behind him, and maybe Darnold, I don't know if this is a possibility, but what if he just says, F it, I want to stay in Minnesota, sign a 2-year, $50 million deal. But I do want to talk to you guys about what Pete Prisco of CBS Sports had to say on the Darnold situation, saying Sam Darnold resurrected his career with the Vikings, putting up big numbers and leading them to the playoffs. But he fizzled out in his final 2 games, including a playoff loss, and that has some personnel people concerned. Even so, in a quarterback-needy league, he will get action if the Vikings don't keep him off the market. I'd look for a deal near $40 million per season. And this is what everybody's reporting in terms of the Sam Darnold contract projection. Lots of guys are assuming he's going to get either 3 to 4 years at somewhere around $40 million per year. But actually, PFF, this is their latest contract projection. 3 years, $123.75 million, and they actually have around $70 million of that guaranteed. So it is an easy out after year 2 if that's the contract that Darnold decides to sign. But where could Darnold go? Well, actually, the top of our new Sam Darnold destinations list is his old team, the New York Jets. I want to talk about Aaron Rodgers and the situation going on in New York here on the tail half of today's show. But the Jets are in need of a quarterback after they just released Aaron Rodgers. The Las Vegas Raiders, many people are connecting Darnold to Vegas. Still got the New York Giants. You got the Indianapolis Colts, and then also the Pittsburgh Steelers. Funny enough, the Steelers, a report came out today that they're actually trying to trade for Trevor Lawrence, or at least making calls. So I'm reading that as Steelers don't love what they have in Russell Wilson, Justin Fields. Maybe they could view Sam Darnold as that guy. But Schefter also had this to say on Darnold possibly heading to the Las Vegas Raiders, saying one team that I would watch with Sam Darnold moving forward would be the Las Vegas Raiders. I think at some point in time they're likely to have some interest in trying to bring Sam Darnold to Las Vegas. We will see if they can make that happen. Darnold will probably call another NFL city in 2025 home. The Raiders make sense. Pete Carroll watched as Geno Smith revived his NFL career in Seattle. Given the Raiders' current situation, they could sign the one-year wonder. And that second quote was coming in from Nick from USA Today. So my prediction, if I'm just reading the tea leaves here, going to trust the NFL insiders, I would say that the Las Vegas Raiders do win the Sam Darnold sweepstakes. But one team to watch out for, in my opinion, is the Los Angeles Rams. A lot of buzz about them possibly trading Matthew Stafford to the New York Giants, and we were getting reports this time last year that the Rams had some interest in Sam Darnold, so maybe Sean McVay would like to get his hands on the 28-year-old quarterback. So if I had to call right now, I would go the Raiders, but my dark horse team to sign Sam Darnold will be the Los Angeles Rams. But you guys let me know, where will Sam Darnold play in 2025? Let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. I'm going the Raiders, but maybe you guys disagree with me. Let me know your thoughts down below. Now we'll talk about Aaron Rodgers here in a second. I'm sure you guys are going to love this conversation. But before we do so, I got to tell you guys about today's presenting sponsor, and that is Factor Meals. Now, eat smart with Factor. Get started at factormeals.com/VikingsChat50off and use code VikingsChat50off to get 50% off your first box plus free shipping. That's code VikingsChat50off at factormeals.com/VikingsChat50off to get 50% off plus free shipping on your first box. Now, if you guys are ready to optimize your nutrition this year, Factor has chef-made gourmet meals that make eating well easy. They're dietitian approved and ready to heat and eat in 2 minutes so you can feel right and feel great no matter what life throws at you. Factor arrives fresh and fully prepared, and it's perfect for any busy or active lifestyle. Here covering the Minnesota Vikings at Chat Sports. Sometimes at the end of the day, I don't always feel like, cooking up a full-blown home-cooked meal, and that's where Factors came in, and it has completely changed my life. I love their teriyaki chicken. Their sweet potato and chickpea curry is fantastic, so check them out and eat smart with Factor and get started at factormeals.com/VikingsChat50off and use code VikingsChat50off to get 50% off your first box plus free shipping. That's code VikingsChat50off at factormeals.com/VikingsChat50off to get 50% off plus free shipping on your first box. All right, let's talk about it. Could the prophecy be fulfilled with Aaron Rodgers heading to the Minnesota Vikings? Well, Rodgers earlier today was released officially by the New York Jets. Now, we knew this was coming for a couple weeks now, but the Jets on Twitter didn't make it official, and it's actually Ian Rappaport who tweeted out saying the Jets have now officially informed QB Aaron Rodgers that they are moving in a different direction. He will be a free agent. So they're not even trying to trade him. They're actually going to make him a post-June 1st cut. So he's just going to be out there on the open market, and you already know people are going to be talking about Aaron Rodgers heading to Minnesota with still question mark at the quarterback position, and what happened with Brett Favre doesn't make sense. Well, Adam Schefter, good old Schefty, threw this out there saying, my guess would be that he winds up playing next season. He can be selective, and he can help a team, ... What if Minnesota loses Sam Darnold? Schefter, that's enough. Stop putting it out there in the world. Listen, I am against the Vikings bringing in Aaron Rodgers. It would be a cool story. It would be great for business. Personally here on the channel, if we got Rodgers, views would be through the roof, I could imagine. But I just don't think it makes any sense for the Vikings to bring him in. Just the toxicity, just the chaotic culture that is around Aaron Rodgers. I don't think it makes sense to bring him in an organization where the culture is the foundational piece to success. So I would be against it, but hey, the bookmakers out west, they think it has a chance. These are Rodgers' next team odds. The Steelers are number 1 at plus 200, Raiders plus 300, a sneaky one. The San Francisco 49ers at plus 350. Maybe if they don't get a deal done with Purdy, maybe Raj could head over there. But then you got the good old Minnesota Vikings at plus 400. So like I just said, I'm against the Vikings going out there and signing Aaron Rodgers. I would just rather roll out with J.J. McCarthy next season. Pretty, going to stand by that take for this entire offseason. But the only way I would consider it is if J.J. McCarthy has a major setback. And I'm talking a major setback where it's like J.J. is going to be out for the first 2 to 3 months of the season. But even if it's just a month, I would rather the Vikings just roll out with Daniel Jones on a 1-year, $7-8 million deal to be the backup and bridge guy. I just don't think Rodgers, at this point in his career, is he good enough to kind of spark the Vikings on a playoff run? I still got my question marks there. I would just rather roll out with Daniel Jones, him be the backup bridge guy. And then, this is J.J. McCarthy's team. And I think the Vikings organization has made that crystal clear this offseason. But I'll ask you guys this. You guys be the GM for me. Would you sign Aaron Rodgers? Give me an S for sign or a P for pass down below in the comment section. I can't believe I'm even asking this at this point in the offseason, but rumors are flying around. So you guys let me know. Would you sign Aaron Rodgers? You guys can also hit me up on Twitter. At Pat Sieps is the Twitter handle. Give me a follow over there, and I'll give you guys a follow right back. But we'll see you guys next time. As always, let's go Vikes.